All right, so I'm gonna try recording this again. My cat was making all sorts of noise and I couldn't focus. So I owe you guys an update. It's been 33 days and it's been good and bad. But lately I've had a lot of issues and it's all my fault because I wanted to experiment and I always pay the price with my experiments, but I also learned, so hopefully you guys can learn from my experience as well. I experimented with ketone esters. So the issue was, in the beginning, if you guys have been keeping up, I have been having moderate success, and then at one point I felt like my body temperature went way up, and to the point where in the middle of the night I would get up and I would have to, take off my sweater because I was overheating, which is something that rarely happens or rarely happened, at least in recent memory. So because we're in winter, the temperature of my room fluctuates a lot, but I'm always cold. Last video, I think it was the 22-day mark, I was able to feel that warmth again doing this experiment, which to me was a good sign because it meant that things were kind of turning on in terms of my metabolism. So more recently though, I've found it harder and harder to eat the same sized meals, almost like my digestion was getting slower or I had low stomach acid. And I realized that I had been slacking off in terms of taking the mineral balance vitamins, and I wasn't taking my iodine. I know both of those things help with digestion, and I also wasn't taking the salt or electrolyte drink that I promised I would take. So definitely shot myself in the foot there, but I kind of took it for granted. I thought that because things were improving, I didn't need to worry as much about supplementing. Now, whether that was truly the root cause or not, I don't know. But in order to kind of get over this issue with my digestion, I decided that, one, I noticed that it was easier to digest my food when my ketones were higher. So if my ketones were below 0.8, then anytime I ate, I would feel like a sluggishness and a fatigue come in right away. So I would eat a meal and then literally exactly 1 hour later, I would feel this intense tiredness. And then when I would test my ketones and my glucose would be way up, my ketones would be way down. It's almost like I don't have enough energy to digest this food. My body just pulls back my metabolism so much in order to, I guess, preserve the energy for like the more important functions, and I guess digestion is not one of those functions. So how do we combat that? I learned later that smaller meals and higher fat as a matter of percentage to protein is the fix, and I'll share a little bit more about that in a little bit. But instead of doing that, because it was really inconvenient to split my meals because they were already small, I decided to experiment with ketone drinks, because ketone drinks will immediately raise your ketone levels, and they do work. I mean, I bought the Juvenescence ketone ester drink. It's like a small drink. It's really expensive. It's like $6-7 per bottle. And when I drank it, it took my ketones from like 0.6 to like 2.2 or something like that. So obviously it works, and I felt amazing. Like I was a different human being altogether. But the problem is that when I started to drink it, I would have like half a bottle in the morning, like before a meal, and it would definitely help me digest that meal better. But the problem was that after like a day or two of drinking these, I started feeling dehydrated. And when I say dehydrated, I mean like I felt every single pore in my body just shrivel up. I even felt some weird symptoms with my some chest pain. Like I didn't want to mess with that. And I wasn't sure if it's because I was able to eat so much more that I started eating more in terms of like fat and protein. And I thought maybe that it was causing more of an electrolyte imbalance because I was eating more, but not adding any more salt to my meals or anything like that. So I started to add salt and potassium, that stuff that I was taking in the beginning. And I also started, taking the mineral balance multivitamin, but it didn't really help much. I still felt intensely dehydrated. My eyes felt dry. My skin was crazy dry. So I was really concerned, and I was not sleeping well. My heart rate actually started to go up. my sleep data was showing that my heart rate was too high compared to before. My average heart rate was going up from the low to mid 50s to the low 60s beats per minute. And that was high for me. So it was just really bad. And I woke up one day feeling just awful, like I was in fight or flight, which makes sense. It's kind of very similar to if you've ever done a fast, extended fast or a water fast. Okay, so I was talking about the water fasting. So I've done water fasts and I've done extended fasting and I've done like fat fasting. And in retrospect, I don't think I would do any of that anymore. I think I would just eat the way I'm eating or something similar, because at the end of the day, a fast is gonna deplete your electrolytes. And I know that there's like, snake juice and all these different ways of accommodating a water fast so that you don't run out of electrolytes. But I just think that the human body is meant to get nutrition in and use it accordingly. So anyways, this felt a lot like a water fast for me, because when I water fast, I feel dehydrated. My body temperature goes way down. I start to feel cold, and that happens around day 2 or 3. So the same thing was happening even though I was eating, and it would go away only when I ate more or more frequently. Like if I started to feel cold, like I would eat at 8 a.m. and then I would start working, and then somewhere around 11 or 12, I would just get really cold. So again, that I was thinking maybe that could be electrolytes or lack of calories, which is, down regulating my metabolism. There's just a lot going on. So I tried these ketones, it dehydrated me even further. My theory is that when I elevate my ketone levels, it is increasing my metabolism, but there's not enough fat in my system and protein. There's not enough basically energy in my system to sustain all the metabolic functions I need. So I'm basically depriving myself of energy, and I'm increasing, the signal to turn the furnace on, so to speak. And that combination caused further depletion of electrolytes. And even though I felt great, I was massively losing water and sodium, potassium, all that stuff. So ultimately I had to stop, and it took me, it's been about 3 days since I stopped taking the esters, and I'm still not 100%. I'm definitely getting better. I did figure out that if I just had some butter, it would lower my glucose and it would raise my ketones. So that's what I'm trying to do now. But it's not I think it's going to take another couple of days to get back into a place where my ketones are high enough to make me feel good. I don't feel bad, but I don't feel great. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys that update. I definitely learned a lot, and it was not a pleasant experience. But besides that, I haven't had any sugar or any plants even, and I'm still optimistic. I think that I will be able to pull this off. And when I say pull it off, I don't mean I'm going to reverse my condition. If I could, that would be amazing, but I don't think I'm anywhere near that yet. But again, it's only been 30 days. The first time I ever tried a diet similar to this, it took me 5 weeks to actually feel like a different person. So I need to give myself that time and space to get to that level again. And I need to not rush and take my time and eat more fat. And yeah, I guess I'm pretty hopeful and optimistic about the next, I would say 2 to 3 weeks. I think that's when I'll really start to feel like I'm in my element, because right now when I work out or even go to the sauna, it depletes my ketones so fast that it's hard for me to feel good afterwards, or even the day after. Like my recovery time is so much longer when I don't have enough ketones. And that kind of leads me to a thought. You hear a lot about how ketone levels don't matter in the keto community, and I strongly disagree with that. I mean, first of all, the definition of nutritional ketosis is between 1.5 and 3. And there's a reason for that. I think that even though you're technically in ketosis below 1.5, you won't feel your best. That's just the fact. If you're only trying to lose weight, different story. There's 100 ways to lose weight. That's never been an issue for me. For me, it's always been about feeling my best. So I think it's very clear that the human body was meant to be in, a certain level of ketosis. And to get there, you need to, one, obviously be fat adapted, which could take up to 3 months. But I think I'm getting there a little faster because I've done this before in different, in varying degrees. But yeah, I just don't believe that anyone who is consistently below 1 is going to feel good. And that's partially probably why so many people say keto doesn't work for them, because they don't understand that it's a different lifestyle altogether. Like, you really do have to eat a lot more fat. And people say prioritize protein first. I don't think I agree with that, because when I do prioritize protein, my blood sugar goes up and my ketones go down. And I think that's what happened with Paul Saladino. I think he just wasn't eating enough fat. Right now, if I wake up and I measure my blood sugar and it's over 80, and it's not usually over 80 anymore, but when it is, I'll just have some butter and it immediately drops to like mid to high 60s or low 70s. Ideally, I want to be under 80 according to my doctor. That's the goal. All right, I'm going to end the video here, guys. I think I've spoken enough, but feel free to send me messages or words of encouragement. I definitely appreciate that from the community. And I'll see you guys in maybe a week or so, or if I have updates. I plan on doing like a small scale blood test soon, just free T3. I just want to know where I'm at, because I considered abandoning the experiment or restarting it on 50 micrograms of T4 instead of 25 micrograms. But now that I've kind of figured out a little bit more about what drives my metabolism and what I need to do, eating more fat, I'm going to try that out before I touch my medication dosage. So I'm going to try that, but in the meantime, I'm going to test my blood. I'm going to test my free T3 only. I don't really care too much about TSH or free T4 right now, and just make sure that I'm within target, which is above half the bottom part of the reference range. So if the bottom part of the reference range is 2, I want to be above 1. I'll do a video once that those results are out, and hopefully things improve before then, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.